Good morning. So, I suck at skateboarding, but I'm good at painting, which is why today I'm going to be painting on a skateboard. I'll be giving away this skateboard to a subscriber, so make sure to watch the video and find out how you could win it for free. To start the project, I ordered a blank deck from a local surf skate store, picked up some paint and supplies, and got to sketching. A few weeks back, I asked on my Instagram for ideas to draw on the skateboard. Surprisingly, a lot of people wanted me to revisit the idea of the fox and the bluebird story I did a while back, so that's what I did. I sketched out a couple of thumbnails for different compositions before narrowing down my initial concepts to just 2, and from there down to just 1, this one. For some reason, I was drawn to this idea of doing a horizontal design on a skateboard. I just thought it would be kind of cool, so I ran with the concept and developed it further. I took the sketch into Procreate to try and flesh out the design and made a skateboard mock-up, planning out the design elements like the color palette, the placement of the flowers, and the overall composition. I figured doing this would help me get an idea of how the design would translate on a skateboard, and I ended up with something like this. At this point, I was pretty satisfied with the design, so it was time to start preparing the board. There was some sort of glossy coat on the board, so I sanded it down just in case it would make painting a lot easier. With the board sanded, it was time to take it from this to this. For the background layer, one thing I really wanted to do was have parts of the skateboard unpainted, so there would be exposed wood parts which would hopefully create a sort of depth or layering effect. I masked off some geometric shapes and spray painted them in. Not that I would call it real spray painting, but this was actually really fun. My 2 friends, Johnson and Nancy, were getting kind of FOMO watching me spray paint, so they nagged me enough to let them have a shot as well. We did about 2 coats, giving about half an hour between each layer to dry, and once it was fully dry, we got to do a bit of peel porn. The next step in the process was to finish the line work and transfer it to the board. So with some transfer paper, bam! I decided to prep the board with some matte fluid medium as a sort of base coat, thinking it might make the acrylic paint work easier. It wasn't until after I'd done the coats that my friend told me that wasn't the best idea. Apparently I should have used gesso instead, so now I just had a lubricated skateboard with an unnecessary matte finish. My plan of attack was to do the flat base coat for each colour first, so the red and white of the fox, the blue of the bird, and the pink of the flowers. From there, I'd start building shadows and highlights, and then start adding details. From the get-go, I knew that this was going to be quite a challenge for 2 reasons. 1, I've never actually painted on wood, and 2, I've used acrylics like 2 times in the past 10 years. I think just like the last time I'd used acrylics, I realized pretty quickly that I was way out of my comfort zone, because I just kept trying to use the acrylics like watercolor. Acrylic paint just dries so damn fast, which makes it so hard to blend and smooth things out. Thankfully, with some time getting used to the medium, I started to get the hang of it, and I somehow devised a sort of technique that worked for me, and at least for what I was trying to achieve. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this skateboard was actually because of the lockdown last year. Over the months of our quarantine and lockdown, we weren't allowed to meet indoors, but for some stages of the lockdown, we were allowed to meet outside. So skateboarding was one of the things that my friends and I managed to find joy in. It was actually a really nice time and a fun way to hang out. We would go on nighttime cruises and skates and just hang out. It was just fun to spend time together like this. Bit of a story time though, I used to skate a lot more when I was younger. I really wanted to be a skateboarder. I thought Tony Hawk was dope, and I thought skateboarding was dope, and I thought being a skateboarder was dope. Only thing is, I was not dope. And that was made clear during one of my younger skating sessions, which actually made me stop skating entirely. I bought a skateboard and taught myself how to skate when I was a kid. I wanted to get better, so one day I decided to try and teach myself how to do a kickflip. Now, this was before the days of YouTube tutorials, so I had no idea how to do it, only I knew I wanted to do it, so I just went for it. And boy did I regret that. So I have this live footage of what happened, and I'll let the video speak for itself. I ended up doing that, and I was turned off skateboarding ever since. But in all honesty, I still really do want to pick up skateboarding again and achieve my childhood dream of learning how to kickflip. So watch me, I'll get it someday. Anyway, back to the board. I think it was around this point that I started to finally find my groove and enjoy the painting process, which is something I haven't been able to do for quite a long time now. I would go in to start working on the skateboard, put on my headphones, plug in, and bam, 8 hours would have suddenly passed by without breaking concentration once. Probably a little bit unhealthy, but it was just really nice to be able to feel like this again. I realized I haven't felt this much focus or joy in making something for quite some time now. There's a much deeper discussion to be had about this, but coming from what I was feeling and the issues going through last year, I guess it was just relieving to know that I could still feel this way after having felt so caved in with my work and just what I was making for such a long time. I realized that while routine in creativity and inspiration can be a blessing, it can also be the very thing that builds walls around you and becomes your prison. At least, I think that's what happened to me after all these years. I'd been burning the same fuel, thinking about gallery shows and exhibition paintings one after another, but forgetting to put energy towards things that were different, that were new, or that were simply for the sake of fun. I think it's then important to step out of our everyday routines of creativity and confront ourselves with a blank slate. Whether it be a new surface to paint on, or an entirely new lifestyle, or something just as simple as a blank skateboard deck. Just like you would exercise your muscles, I think we should also exercise our creativity to think outside the box and to try new things. And I think that's exactly what I needed to make me feel like I could fall in love with not just watercolor or painting, but art all over again. And that feels good. And with that, we're all done. So cue the final reel. So making this skateboard brought me a lot of joy, and I'd like to share some of that joy with the very people who cheer me on. You guys! I'd like to give this skateboard to one of my subscribers. All you have to do is answer a question. What's something you've always wanted to learn or try? It could be something that you've wanted to learn as a kid or recently achieved as an adult. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to play the piano or go skydiving, or maybe you finally learned how to do a kickflip. Drop a comment down below with your answer for your chance to win the skateboard. Which brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Don't forget to make more art, and I'll see you guys soon.